सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। मंगलाचरणम् आत्मबोध। ॐ तपोभिः क्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्ष्योऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते।
What are you going to say?
Did I give the meaning for shloka number 14?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're done.
Let us chant from 10th shloka. Yathā kāśo hrishikeshah. यथा काशो हृषीकेशः
यथाकाशो हृषीकेशः
नानोपाधिगतो विभुः
नानोपाधिगतो विभुः
तद्भेदात् भिन्नवद्भाति
तद्भेदात् भिन्नवद्भाति
तन्नाशे केवलो भवेत्।
तन्नाशे केवलो भवेत्।
नानोपाधिवशादेव
नानोपाधिवशादेव
जातिवर्णाश्रमादयः
जातिवर्णाश्रमादयः
आत्मन्यारोपितास्तो ये
आत्मन्यारोपितास्तो ये
रसवर्णादिभेदवत्
रसवर्णादिभेदवत्
पञ्चीकृतमहाभूत सम्भवं कर्म सञ्चितम्
पञ्चीकृतमहाभूतसम्भवं कर्म सञ्चितम्
शरीरं सुखदुःखानां
शरीरं सुखदुःखानां
भोगायतनमुच्यते
भोगायतनमुच्यते
पञ्चप्राणमनोबुद्धिदशेन्द्रियसमन्वितम्
पञ्चप्राणमनोबुद्धिदशेन्द्रियसमन्वितम्
अपञ्चीकृतभूतोत्थम्
अपञ्चीकृतभूतोत्थं
सूक्ष्माङ्गं भोगसाधनम्
सूक्ष्माङ्गं भोगसाधनम्
अनाद्यविद्या निर्वाच्य
अनाद्यविद्या निर्वाच्य
कारणोपाधिरुच्यते
कारणोपाधिरुच्यते
उपाधित्रितयादन्यम्
उपाधितृतयादन्यम्
आत्मानमवधारयेत्
आत्मानम् अवधारयेत्
पञ्चकोशादियोगेन
पञ्चकोशादियोगेन
तत्तन्मय इव स्थितः
तत्तन्मय इव स्थितः
शुद्धात्मा नीलवस्त्रादि
शुद्धात्मा नीलवस्त्रादि
योगेन स्फटिको यथा
योगेन स्फटिको यथा
once again paṃcakośādiyogena
paṃcakośādiyogena
tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ
tattanmaya iv स्थितः
शुद्धात्मा नीलवस्त्रादि
शुद्धात्मा नीलवस्त्रादि
योगेन स्फटिको यथा
योगेन स्फटिको यथा
yeah. Thank you. So the last three shlokas 12, 13 and 14 panchīkrita mahabhuta pancha prana mano buddhi and anadya vidya anirvachya. One shloka Bhagavan Shankaracharya dedicates to one shariram. It's amazing how this pursuit of moksha ends up an analysis of oneself. To me, it is actually beautiful because even for just basic mature living, emotional maturity, they say these days emotional intelligence, even for that we have to assess ourselves, correct? Our emotional being, how stable I am. Nobody is 100% stable, but am I dealing with realities in a mature fashion? Am I dealing with myself in a mature fashion? Have I really faced all the traumas? Have I embraced all the traumas that I had? And now is my slate clean? How about that? Okay, that is how it is. That is what makes a person emotionally mature. Even for that, so much assessment is needed. And now when I see Vedanta, it just continues that journey, correct? It doesn't then go, oh, you are okay now. Now you can go to heaven. It is not talking like that. Vedanta, where does it say? Krishna didn't tell Arjuna, please come with me to heaven. My time is getting over shortly. And our Ashtavakra Gita, Uddhava comes and says, I want to come with you. He said, what coming with me and all that? That question doesn't arise. You would be happy where you are. And so, well, Krishna didn't send anybody to heaven, really speaking, if you ask me. All the famous shlokas, he's here to take care of things and help us take care of things where we are. So that is why I find this whole analysis it's a nice continuation of what we were told before. And so, here, analysis of oneself means what? Finally, earlier he mentioned what is moksha and all. He already talked about. Praptasya praptihi. That is a clue to the whole thing. You're seeking what is already sought. You're accomplishing what is already accomplished. You're gaining what is already gained. So it's a beautiful journey there. And so in the last three shlokas, he talked about who am I as far as body onwards. So the body, panchikrita mahabhuta, that gross body is called sthula shariram. And he doesn't say it, but he says, hey, this is going to say later. Okay, he's going to come in the third shloka. Then sukshma shariram talked about in the 13th shloka and karana shariram. That avidya, which is what is giving the oxygen for all this body, this existence, continuation of this existence. That is talked about in sloka number 14. Okay. And if the oxygen supply is pulled out, then what will happen? Then whatever depends on that oxygen will go away, will die, so to speak. And so that's one way to think about it. And so he says, Upadhi Tritayad Anyam. Hey, I talked about so many upadhis before, but the primary upadhis are these three. These three. These three means Sharira Trayam. In Sanskrit called Sharira Trayam. Or Upadhi Trayam. Upadhi Trayam. So Upadhi Tritayad Anyat Atmanam Avadhari. Hey, you are neither of these three bodies. Good. So, I mean, that's not a shock to us or anything like that because our whole pursuit is started by some idea we have about this. And so, all our texts only formalize that vague idea that we have. Okay. Now, somebody asked, do I have to know all these things? I figured out the problem. I figured out the solution also. Now, do I have to know all these terms and upadhi and sariratrayam and because why I'm saying is next shloka, first word paṃcakośādiyogena. Now suddenly another term has come paṃcakosha. You have to sit and understand what this paṃcakosha is. You have to know it means what? You don't have to know it. You don't have to know it. If you got it, you can get up and leave. That's it. Game is over. As I keep saying all the time. But if you want to study more, if you want to teach especially, teachers have to know all these things. Teachers cannot wash their hands off. And so, but study continues. Shravanam constant. Shravanam is constant. Therefore, we will end up seeing all these words, panchakosha, etc. Shariratrayam, we just finished. And so, without explaining what panchakosha is, he just refers it in this one shloka, just by one word. In Vivek Chudamani, he spends how many shlokas? He spends 5 times 3 maybe, close to 10 to 15 shlokas, or more than 15, 20, 25 shlokas on just panchakosha, correct? Correct. Now you understand how these texts are all, what is the mindset of the acharyas in writing all these texts. Viveka Chodamani has 550 plus verses. Here it is only some 60 or so. So compressed, correct? Same text compress agar karenge to it will become Atmabodha. That also is Atmabodha only. Don't think Viveka Chodamani is something else, some other text. It is also Atmabodha. This also is Atmabodha. Just the names are like. All right. So here paṃcakośādiyogena he says. Okay. Based on the the grossness of the body, the physical body is gross. Physical body, all this bones, flesh, blood, and all that's all gross. Cranium, hard stuff. It's all there, hard stuff. And thanks to the hard stuff, the body is able to be one solid entity. And then it can hold all liquids and gases. It can hold and process can happen. And so that solid, based on the solidity of the components of the body, the division is what? Upadhi Trayam. Gross body, subtle body, and even subtler called Karana Sharira. That is how Shastram divides it. That we understood. Now, there is another way of dividing this body, another way of dividing, based on what is called kosha. If you look at, quote unquote, if you look at Atma as being covered by all these, this Sharira Trayam, if you look at Atma as being covered, they say sheath, kosha is equal to sheath, they say. Sheath. Somebody used the word sheath, and then from there we are just copying and pasting and copying, pasting. Today we are saying sheath. Okay, so like the onion peel. Onion has lot of peels, goes on round and round and round, keeps on there. What a this thing it is, fruit or vegetable it is. And so like that, if you look at this body, because Atma is not visible, so it is there inside hiding. Therefore, you look at this thing as a kosha. Then what happens? The division is called panchakosha. Panchakosha upadhi. Previously, upadhi tritayat anyam. Now you can say kosha panchakat, upadhi panchakat anyam. You should say. And now I'll explain to you what is panchakosha. Panchakosha is also not the same thing really. We already know Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram. Now the Sthula Shariram is called Annamaya Koshaha. New word, Annamaya Koshaha. Why is it called Kosha? I'll tell you in a minute. Annamayaha. Annamayaha. Mayat. Mayat Vikare. Mayat Vikare. Mayat is a particular pratyaya in Sanskrit, which has three meanings. But one meaning that is relevant here is vikare, in the sense of modification. When the Panchabhutas modify, then the modified form is called a mayate. Here it's called Annamayaha. Annam, when it processes itself, it will look like what? It will look like this human body or body, gross body. That is the way to look at it. All right. So Annamaya. That is the vikara of Annam. Annam means food, solid food or gross food. Annamaya. Okay, then Sthula Shariram is there, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram. Karana Shariram also has an equivalent in Panchakosha. It is called Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya. Why it is Anandamaya? We saw it in Karana Shariram itself. Hey, Anadya Vidya, Anirvachya, like that we saw the definition Shankara had given. So that Anadya Vidya, even though he may not have used the word Ananda there, he did not say it, but it is manifest as Ananda. Ignorance is bliss. Did somebody say that? So that avidya, even here also, it creates a certain Ananda, innocent Ananda, ignorant Ananda, which is what deep sleep provides. In the deep sleep, our identification all drops with the body. Identification drops. No idea who this guy. The guy doesn't know who he is or she is. Nothing. He or she also doesn't know. Nothing is known, and so all identification drop. Identifications drop. Then what remains? Ananda. That's all will remain. During the waking state, I thought I must do something to be happy. Correct? Admit it. Admit it. You have to do something to be happy. Otherwise, you are unhappy. And in America, they used to say when I first went, "What are you doing?" What are you doing means what? Weekend, what are you doing? Weekend, I should do something. I didn't know I should do something in the weekend at that time. Believe it or not, I didn't know that. And they used to say, "Are you doing something?" I didn't do anything. Is that a problem? And so I was made to feel it's a problem. I tell you these things, I can't forget all these things. And then somebody is doing some project, this and that project. They're saying, "I'm working on this project." Oh, you're working on this project? I should also do it. I mean, what what projects are available to do? You please tell me. And like this, I got conditioned. But I didn't get conditioned also because I was never settled. This never settled is always sometimes it's a good thing. Good thing. We say we have to we're settling down. People say, right? I never settled down. This is the truth about myself. Never settled, unsettled. Bahar, aha, smiles, this, that will be there. But I am not settled. That's all. That's how it is. And so that is how Vedanta comes and then that becomes a breath of fresh air. So, uh, You have to do something to be happy, correct? America taught us that. And hey, then how did you be happy when you became meant to sleep? Please tell me. What are you really doing when you're sleeping? You're doing nothing. Then how can you be happy? That question should come or not? And so, Ananda, that only thing that remains is Ananda, and there's nothing to block it. And so it, Ananda, manifests. That is why everybody wants to go to sleep. And so, okay, so Sthula Shariram, Karana Shariram is Anandamaya Koshaha, Sthula Shariram is Annamaya Koshaha. Now what remains is Sukshma Shariram, correct? That is the only thing that is remaining. The subtle body. They say subtle body. Okay. That is split into three koshas. That is all it is. That is all it is. A more finer division of the Sukshma Sharira. Okay. And how do you split it? The next kosha is called Pranamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha. Alright. Pranamaya. Maya, same thing. The modification which appears as prana. What is prana? Prana is defined as all this rajoguna samudbhavam, everything that came from rajoguna. And what came from rajoguna? We have to go back to the previous classes and then we'll find all the pancha pranas, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, the pancha physiological systems. Prana, respiration, apana, excretion, udana, this ejection, ejection, whatever that word, that's called udana. Then and then did I miss something? Samana, okay.
Vyana.
Vyana, I missed it. Vyana, Vyana is this circulation, blood circulation, and then Samana is digestion. There are more systems, but these five are enough to represent all the systems. In a meeting, everybody doesn't go. The representatives are sent to the meeting. Everybody doesn't have to go. So like that, these five pancha prana, that is part of the pranamaya kosha. And then one more thing, this samashti rajasamshat, not samashti. Samashti is panchaprana, but each panchabhuta, akasha, vayu, agni, and so forth, their rajas aspect is manifest as what? As one karmendriyam. Karmendriyam. And what is that karmendriyam? Uh, it is the Vak Pani Padam Payu Upasthani. Vak speech. Speech. Very interesting. Speech. So Akasha. So Akashasya Rajasamshat Vagindriyam Sambhutam. Like that we saw. Then I like that Agni. Sorry, did I say that right? No. Akashat Panindriyam. Then Vayu. Vayoho Rajasamshat Padindriyam Sambhutam. Then only Vak, I think, right? Or is it the other way? No, Vak Pani Pada Payu Pasta. Sorry, I have to go back. So Vak is the first. Akasha, what I said before is correct. Vak Pani Pada. That is the order. So like this Pancha Bhutani, from the Pancha Bhutani came the five organs of action. Yes, sense organs are five. And organs of action are also five. Is there any rule that these should be same number? Same number, it seems. That is also very uncanny. Very uncanny. This five pancha is not ordinary, not arbitrary, it seems. Anyway, so that pancha karmendriyani plus pancha pranaha together are called pranamaya kosha. Pranamaya kosha. Then you got manomaya kosha. Third one is what? Manomaya kosha. Manomaya. that which is in the form of mind, which has manifest as the mind. And then mind, this manomaya is equal to mind, which is what? Okay, I'll come to that later. Mind plus sense organs. Sense organs have not come so far, no? Sense organs are coming in the manomaya kosha. How did it come about? A. Akashasya satvikamshat. Right? Satvikamshat shrotrendriyam sambhutam. The sattva aspect of Akasha Panchabhuta has given rise to this organ of hearing, which is not this physical ear. It is not even the ear drum. It is the subtlest, the whole apparatus, the sense of hearing. That is subtle. Then there is an apparatus, the whole ear canal and ear drum and ear this and that. All they have this. It's a very nice thing that when I saw last time in the YouTube, they have a very beautiful video, and it's like a drum that is hitting like this and all. I don't know if you've seen this. It is just amazing, and you look at it and say, "My God, how these things work." So hanging, it's just hanging like this. It's just hanging, and then there's a drum like this. It's going on. And then you realize, my God, this is so subtle. Still, it is all physical, but then the subtle aspect, that aspect which actually the Shakti that gives that sound is called this Shrotrendriyam. Everything else is the physical aspect. All right. Which will go into Annamaya, correct? Physical aspect should always go into Annamaya. Okay. So, this Manomaya we are talking about. Shrotram, Shrotram, Tvak, Chakshuhu, and then Rasana and Grana. Five sense organs coming from the five Panchabhutas, coming from the Sattva aspect of the Panchabhutas. Okay, so that sense organs five plus Manaha, which is a product of the combination of all the Sattva aspects of the five Panchabhutas is called mind. Etesham Panchabhutanam Samashti Satvikamshat Manaha Sambhutam. Like that we saw in Tatmabodha. Alright. Annamaya Kosha over. Pranamaya Kosha over. Manomaya Kosha is this. Then what our Shastram does is, this mind is a complex entity. Okay. It can do many functions. It can just feel the emotion. That is one type of activity. Then it can begin to ask questions. There is another type of fact, same mind only, but then different aspect of the mind. It can solve problems. Hey, that's another interesting thing. It can make decisions. Somebody has to make decisions. Family wants to go have dinner. We are going out to eat today. Okay, go out. Where are we going? Each person is, there are 9 people in the family. Each person says one thing. Like Navagrahas. I said 9 because Navagrahas don't look at each other. And so everybody says one thing. And now there's stand still. Clock is ticking. 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. What happened, guys? We haven't decided where to go. Why? Because somebody has to decide. Somebody has to decide. The deciding authority is not there. And so uh, that also the mind can do. So our Shastram splits the mind into actually 4 entities. Okay. Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chittani. Chittani. Manaha means, what is Manaha? Defined, well defined. Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam Manaha. That aspect which is wavering, which just floats around. It just feels, and it has no other job but to just feel and just ask questions and throw doubts. Keep on throwing doubts. Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam. Then what? Then Buddhi. Buddhi is Nischayatmika Buddhihi. That faculty of this overall big mind, which is good at decision making, which does the decision making, not good at, does the decision making, is called Buddhihi. Then Chittam, memory. You have to recall stuff. Even to identify your children, you have to recall, yeah, this fellow is my son only, my daughter only. That memory has to come. Memory is not operating, there is no question of recognizing anything. That is why as people age and sometimes this dementia and all these things happen, it's very sad because they don't know that they have eaten food. All problems, all just basic things that we take for granted just don't work. And the family doesn't know how to deal with that. Yeah. So anyway, that chittam. Then antakaran, I mean the ahankara is there in between. Ahankara. Ahankara is what? Ahankara is another thought. Another thought. That's all it is. That is all that ahankara is. And it's such a powerful thought. It is, that is all. But that's the guy that that either damages us or helps us out. Correct? Uddared atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet. Krishna had said that ahankara. That I sense, if you want to say. Ego, I'm not you're going to use the word ego and all. I sense. The sense of I. That sense of I is taken for granted. The minute I wake up, the first thought that happens to a human being is I sense. Or even an animal also. I sense. I am aware of myself. Now I am aware of the world around me, my house, my people, what I have to do. Everything just rushes in like that in a fraction of a second. Correct? Everything just comes. Then you're ready to go. Okay, that is ahankara. That is why in deep sleep this ahankara vanishes. And that's why they say, the Yajnavalkya Chanaka says, in deep sleep, the king does not know that he is a king. The queen does not know she is queen. And the beggar on the street, the homeless person does not know he is homeless. Why? Ahankara is not there. Ahankara is the one that identity, the primary identifier is ahankara. And it's finally a thought in the mind. That is why ahankara also is a part of this overall mind. Four things. What are the four things? Manaha, buddhi, ahankara, and chittam. Chittam is memory. This is a classic. In Advaita Vedanta, it is classic. In Ayurveda and other places, it may be defined differently, and that is all fine. Just you have to develop a model to express what you are trying to teach, what you are trying to model. All right. So what happens? Manaha we put under manomaya kosha along with sense organs, the third kosha. Then for the purposes of this one, for the fourth kosha, which is called vijnana maya kosha, that vijnana maya is that intellect buddhi. We said no, buddhi plus sense organs is vijnana maya kosha. And for the purposes of the kosha analysis, chittam and ahankara can be put anywhere you want. We can put it under Vijnana Maya also. They don't talk about it. They won't talk about Chittam and this. Then we don't have to scratch our head. We say put it wherever you think it's relevant. Memory, you want to put it under mind because it's not active. It just comes like that. Okay, put it under mind. You say mind, no, memory is even more important than simply doubting and all these things, feeling and all. Then put it under Vijnana Maya Kosha. Shastram is silent about it. Why? Because it says, okay, I'm going to divide this mind into two faculties only in this model, in this panchakosha model. And that is manaha and buddhi. That's it. So where are we now? So annamaya kosha, same as sthula shariram. Pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya combined will be called sukshma shariram in this earlier model. And then the fifth kosha is called anandamaya kosha, which is karana shariram. In this other model, in this Sariratraya model, you got Kosha Panchakam model.
Excuse me, Guruji, could you kindly repeat Vijnanamaya Kosha again?
Vijnanamaya Kosha is basically intellect plus sense organs. Mind, the Manomaya Kosha is mind plus sense organs.
So this Gyanendra is used, Guruji, in both Manomaya and Vijnanamaya both.
Correct. Jnanendriya goes both with manomaya kosha and vijnanamaya kosha. Correct. And previously pranamaya kosha. Okay, you saw that. That is pancha pranaha plus organs of action. Karmendriyani. And then annamaya. At the bottom you've got.
And it is made of sattvic ansa.
And of course, the Annamaya Kosha is a tamas aspect of the Panchabhutani. Pranamaya, Rajas aspect of the Panchabhutani. Then, then what about this Sukshma Shariram? Sukshma Shariram is made of, which is the Manomaya and Vijnanamaya, is this Sattva aspect of the Panchabhutani. Okay. And what about Karana Shariram? Annamaya Kosha. The Shastra doesn't talk about it at all. Okay. So, we have to go and find out. Does the Shastra say anything? And if it said something, I don't recollect because it never comes to the discussion. So, still Panchabhuta only. Karana Shariram is what? It is not suddenly just sitting around like that. No, everything is made of Panchabhutas. So, we have to say something like Sattva aspect only because it has a big job to do. Only Sattva can do that job. It is protecting our identity. It is protecting our karma. It is protecting who we are. It is individualizing the jiva. It makes us unique. Karana Sharira. Even though it's all avidya, but still an avidya which has to give this kind of body, this kind of family, with this kind of pedigree and this kind of life. Okay, that and it's all unique. Every being, not just human being, every living being is unique. And so that is the Karana Sharira. That uniqueness, where does it come from? It comes from Karana Sharira.
Guruji, it says
All right.
Trigunatmika, no?
Huh?
Trigunatmika, it says somewhere. Trigunatmika.
Okay. Trigunatmika Maya. So
Must be tamas.
so we have to go back. Okay, we'll continue the discussion in satsang. It is subtle. It is subtler than the subtle. Okay, and so we have to look into that. All right. So that is panchakosha. This word paṃcakośādiyogena. Now what happens when I say I am the body, this body, gross body, it's so intimately tied. I and body, how can you separate? It is not possible to separate out. That is why there is the mistake possible. Then mind, am I the mind means mind and I also not separable. That is why that identity nobody questions. Nobody questions. Are you the mind or are you the physical body? Simple question I'm asking. Body is different from mind or not? First question. First question. Body means this gross body is different from mind or not? Obviously different from mind. Because when I have problems with the bone, I go to this one orthopedist. When I have problems with my lung, I go to a pulmonologist. Eyes, I go to the ophthalmologist. When I have problems with my mind, if I go to an ophthalmologist, he will say, you know what, there is something behind the eye. It is called mind. And I'm not that doctor. Okay. But you go to the fourth floor, I'll write down this thing, and then he will help you with that. With the problem we are having now. That's what he will say. Obviously, mind is different from all these things. And all these doctors wash their hands off. No, it's not me, it's not me. You have to go to the fourth floor. And so, mind is different. Mind is made of, it's a different stuff altogether. And so, if am I the mind or am I the body? If you say I am both, both and all that, it's okay. You say I am both. You told me I'm tall, correct? You told me I'm tall. Good, very happy. Some of us can't make that statement. And you are able to make that statement, so you're blessed. Okay? You're blessed. Mind is tall? No. Mind is not tall. What is it? I'm tall means the body is tall. Oh, I'm the body, you're saying. Then you said I'm hungry. Who is hungry? Body is hungry or something else is hungry? Hmm. Stomach? Can stomach really be hungry? I don't know. Tell me what is going on. What are you talking about? This is a very tough subject. You're asking me all kinds of questions. Nobody asked me. My teacher, she did not teach me properly, I think. Don't worry. Don't go back to teacher and all. Okay. You don't know who is hungry. All right. At least you say, I don't know who is hungry. That's a great step. Then you said you are confused. Yesterday you told me you are confused, right? Who is confused? Body is confused. Hands are confused. Or this who is confused? Stomach hungry. That stomach is confused. No, stomach cannot be confused. I confused the stomach by eating all kinds of stuff yesterday. That is a different story altogether. But who is confused? When you said I am confused, who is that I? I must be the mind only, I think. Mind only is confused. Who else can be confused? Okay, so therefore, are you the stomach? Are you the mind? Or are you the tall body that you're talking about? Who are you? Hey, you can't be any of those. Why? Because you are the one who is the ultimate seer of these things. The body doesn't complain that I am fat. You please do something about it. Why are you eating so much and making me fat? Body doesn't care. It just puts up all with all the stuff we do. I do. Therefore, it is very obvious that I am not any of these things. And because I take this Annamaya as the body, Annamaya is called a kosha, a sheath, as they say. It is not a sheet and all that stuff. It is the locus of a mistake. It is one of the places where I mistake myself as. I mistake this Annamaya Sthula Shariram to be myself. Therefore, it is a kosha. Because it is a mistake, it is a kosha. Achadakatvat, Shankaracharya will say. Achadakatvat koshaha. It is blocking my vision of myself. Therefore, it is kosha. That's the way they want us to think. Look at how beautiful it is. Otherwise, if I say it is a sheet, then what is my idea of Atma? Atma is hidden somewhere inside. It is covered by all the koshas. This is all not Shastram at all. This is not Shastram at all. Atma eva sarvam idam. Everything that is here is Atma. One statement is there in the Upanishad. What will you do about it? If everything that is there is Atma, how can Atma be covered? Somebody will ask. That is why this covering business and all you should not bring here. It's like an as though cover. Koshaha iva koshaha. Iva, Shankaracharya will be shy to say it is a cover. It is like a cover. You can say like a cover. That is fine. Iva. That Iva is critical. Iva means as though, like. Alright. What did we do so far? We talked about paņcakoshas. That's all we did. Paņcakoshas, which is another way of explaining the upadhis. This is a threefold way of explaining the upadhis. This is the fivefold way of explaining the upadhis. And another beautiful thing is the word kosha has come here, which is a locus of a mistake. There is a technical word in English called locus. Locus means adhishthanam. A place where I make the mistake, on which I make the mistake, is called locus. It is like, what is the locus of this clock? The locus of this clock is table. Table is where the clock is sitting. Locus, something like that. Locus. In mathematics, there is a locus and all that. We will not go there now. A place where I make a mistake is called kosha. Like rope is the kosha for the snake, or so rope is the kosha. If I make a mistake, when I look at that and say it is a snake, then I made a mistake. And what is the locus of the mistake? Locus is a rope, obviously. Rope. Locus. So here, koshaha, the locus of a mistake is called koshaha. Commonly called as a sheet because it is covering, as though covering. Covering what? It can't cover Atma. As though covering Atma. That is how ella as though podam. We have to put that. All right. Therefore, now look at what he says. Panchakośādiyogena tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ. Sthitaḥ. Okay, śuddhātmā sthitaḥ. That is the main sentence. Śuddhātmā sthitaḥ. This is Atma which is pure, which is taintless, which has no impurity. Why Atma has no impurity? To make something impure, there must be another thing, no? Another thing must be there to make this thing impure. Another thing is not there means how Atma can be impure. Ekameva advitiyam. Dvaitameva nasti. That is the thesis of Advaita Vedanta. And the second thing itself is not there. How Atma can become impure? Impure means more than one entity. There is only one entity, and therefore Atma is śuddhātmā. He says here, śuddhātmā. Śuddhātmānanda. We have Swamiji is called śuddhātmānanda. And so śuddhātmā sthitaḥ. Śuddhātmā is in the following form, sthitaḥ. In what form it is? Paṃcakośādiyogena. Because of this association with these panchakoshas, okay, even though I am not any of these bodies, even though I'm not Annamaya really, but I am intricately connected with the Annamaya, agreed. And then because of the yogena, ajnana yogena, where did we see ajnana yoga? Suddenly, ajnana yogat paramatmanastava. Paramatmanas jnana yogat paramatmanastava. Vivek Choda. Beautiful.
Satapi, asatapi, it comes for Maya, I think.
Maya Langriyal. This is the full essence of Vedanta. Our own life essence is given in this one flow. Ajnana yogat paramatmanastava. And then tayor vivekodita bodha vannihi ajnana karyam pradahet samoolam. That is the second half. The second quarter I'm not getting.
Ajnana yoga paramatmanastava Atmabodha tatayeva samskriti.
Atmabodha tatayeva samskriti. Samskriti means samsara. In one line, the Shankaracharya in Viveka Chodamani, which is shloka number, Shanti?
47.
47.
Yeah.
47, my mind goes to 247, which is Karmanya Vadikaraste. Anyway, so this is a great way to remember this. Viveka Chodamani, abridged verse 47 is this Ajnana Yogat Paramatmanastava. Ajnana Yogat, he says, this samsara has come due to the Ajnana Yoga. With this ignorance just taking over my life. And Ajnana Yoga. Paramatmanastava, you who is Paramatma, like that Shankaracharya is putting that word right there in that shloka when describing samsara. You who is Paramatma, but due to Ajnana, you have taken yourself to be a limited being and therefore you got samsara. And this is basically life, the life that we are all leading. Tayor vivekodita bodha vannihi. Then what happened? Tayor viveka. Once I have to separate out the Atma from the Anatma. He doesn't say the world doesn't exist and all that. All this bunkam we don't say. World is there. That is why we are analyzing. That's why samsara is there. And so tayor vivekodita bodha vannihi. That viveka is there. Then that is what is the solution for you. Problem is ignorance means solution is to remove the ignorance. What will remove ignorance? Jnanam will remove ignorance. Like that he has said in that shloka. Here he is saying panchakośādiyogena. Instead of using ajnana yogena, here panchakośādiyogena. Then what happens? Tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ. This another maya has come here. Tattanmaya. Atma seems to take on the attributes of the things that I make a mistake about. If I mistake the rope to be snake, then what will be the attributes of the rope? All the attributes of the snake are going to be projected on the rope, and rope will as though take on the attributes of the snake. That's what he's saying. Tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ. Rope can never become snake. No chance at all. It is just not possible. Rope is rope, snake is snake. But rope has become snake. How something can become snake? Only by taking on the qualities of that snake, rope can become snake. Without taking on anything, it took on the attributes. Sliminess of the snake, as though rope has taken on the sliminess of the snake. As though all this wriggling nature of the snake, that wriggliness also it has taken over. And there is a knot at the front of the rope. I don't know why didn't they untie this thing. That knot looked like the head and this of the cobra, like this. So that knot, everything. Look at this uncanny thing. And so it took on. The rope took on the attributes of the snake. Without taking on anything, it took on the attributes. That's what he's saying. Tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ. Iva, as though Atma has as though taken on all the properties of this Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. As though. Such an important word it is. Atma cannot take on the attributes. That's what he's indicating here. Tattanmaya, respective. What are the properties of the gross body? All this tallness, I am dark, I am fair. All these things, properties of the Annamaya only it is. That property taken on by whom? Atma, me, I, who is the observer of all these things, is taking on those attributes. Tattanmaya. Tatu maya. Respectively. Okay, that's how we should translate it. Respectively, Atma takes on the properties of Annamaya, etc. Tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ. Sthitaḥ means remaining. Atma remains just taking on all the attributes of the things about which I make a mistake. Paṃcakośādiyogena. Helplessly I make a mistake. And so, Atma, that is the Atma he's talking about. And, okay, so our Padmapada, etc. Adi, it is Adi is there, no? Panchakosha, Adi is there. How can you simply walk away from that? Adi means etc. Panchakosha, etc. Hey, you just explained Panchakosha. What about etc.? Ādiyogena Ashanādīnām, he says. And then Menanji says, Adi Shabdena Jati Namadīnām. Jati Nama, etc. Like our the previous Shariram also he mentioned it. Jati Varnashramadaya. Shloka number 11. Jati Varnashramadaya. So he says, Panchakosha, Panchakosha is enough. But Adi Shabdena, anything else that comes to your mind, which is not part of this kosha, you just bring it all in. The common ideas. Okay? Adi, Panchakoshādi, anything that I associate with, bring it in here. Yogena. That you are not. You know you're not that, but you brought it in. You identify yourself with that. That is to be included, etc. All right. Then what? All right. Now he's giving an example, as the Shankara style in this particular text. nīlavastrādiyogena sphaṭikaḥ yathā. Yathā means just as sphaṭikaḥ. Sphaṭika is a colorless crystal. Sphaṭika lingam. Colorless it is. It's just transparent, and there is no color. It has no attributes at all. But then it looks blue. Hey, the colorless crystal, how it can look blue? nīlavastrādiyogena. Anything blue you keep nearby. Blue vastra. Because vastram samarpayami will come during puja. And that vastram was blue in color, nīlavastra. Or rakta vastra, red in color. It becomes a red. Okay, rakta vastradi, nīla vastra, adi yogena. Adi can be nīla colors also. Colors, etc., blue, etc., and also vastra, etc. Anything. Flower is kept nearby the sphaṭika, then it will take on the attributes of the flower, the color of the flower. So, yathā nīlavastrādiyogena sphaṭikaha tattanmaya bhavati. You should add that. Yathā nīlavastrādiyogena sphaṭikaha tattanmaya bhavati. Just like sphaṭika will look exactly like the object that you place nearby. Will take on those attributes. And like that, Atma also took on the attributes of the panchakosha. No, not took on as it were, took on as though took on the attributes. Because Patika never became blue. It appears blue, thank God. So that Patika continues to be colorless and beautiful, ready for puja. So that is the example is giving here. And so we can say, if you look at the previous shloka, Upadi tritayad anyam atmanam avadharayet. Now we can add a sentence here. Upadi panchakat anyam atmanam avadharayet. What did we say earlier? Hey, you have to understand Atma as something that is other than these three upadhis. Sthula shariram, sukshma shariram, karana shariram. Then you can use the same statement here. Upadhi panchakat anyam atmanam avadharayet. Understand Atma to be other than the panchakosha. Like that you can extend the shloka by adding that. Implied. Shankara wants us to understand that. Alright, we will translate the shloka. Okay, let's do this. Due to identification with the panchakoshas, śuddhātmā, pure Atma seems to acquire their nature. Their natures also you can say. Natures. Just to I don't know if English, can you say that or not? We don't know. I've never seen it. But their natures, their respective natures. The respective, I want to add the word respective here. So, what is it? Due to the identification with the panchakoshas, pure Atma seems to acquire their respective nature, natures, attributes. Tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ. Okay? Attributes makes it easy. All right, we can say attributes also.
Qualities makes more sense.
Qualities, attributes, all identical. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's say attributes, respective attributes. Each kosha has attributes and therefore respective attributes. So, due to identification with the panchakoshas, pure Atma seems to acquire their respective attributes. Next sentence. Or comma, there's not a full stop here. Just as in the presence of blue cloth, etc. In the presence of a blue cloth, etc. Just as in the presence of a blue cloth, etc., comma, a clear crystal appears blue, etc. A clear crystal appears blue, etc. Okay. Just as in the presence of a blue cloth, etc., a clear crystal appears blue, etc. The whole thing will look like this. Due to identification with the panchakoshas, comma, the pure Atma seems to acquire their respective attributes. Just as, maybe there's a semicolon there, just as in the presence of a blue cloth, etc., a clear crystal appears blue, etc. Good. Next shloka. वपुस्तुषादिभिः कोशैः
वपुस्तुषादिभिक्कोशैः
युक्तं युक्त्यवघाततः
युक्तम् युक्तवगाततः
आत्मानमन्तरं शुद्धम्
आत्मानमन्तरम् शुद्धम्
विविच्यात्तण्डुलं यथा
विविच्यात्तण्डुलम् यथा
वपुस्तुषादिभिः कोशैः
वपुस्तुषादिभिक्कोशैः
युक्तं युक्त्यवघाततः
तम् युक्तावघाततः
आत्मानमन्तरं शुद्धम्
आत्मानमन्तरम् शुद्धम्
विविच्यात्तण्डुलं यथा
विविच्यात्तण्डुलम् यथा
Yeah. So now what's happening? He keeps telling ajnanam is the problem. He keeps telling identification is the problem. Like that, big description has been given. He spent 3 shlokas on Sthula Shariram, 1 shloka on Panchakosha. And he says, paṃcakośādiyogena, because of identification with that, I am a samsari. Like that he says, I am who I am. So like that, if you keep looking at the what we have covered so far, okay, so that adhyasa, that projection, the mistake, ajnanam, therefore jnanam, all this was talked about. Really the introduction. But then you have to tell me what I should do now. I understood the problem. What is the next step? Like that. If the question arises, he is beginning to talk about that. And like I come, everything is there. Jnana phalam is there. It's all coming. A lot of things are coming. All right. So he's now saying he's going to give us a solution. Beginning to talk about a solution. Jnanam is the solution. In general, we know that. But jnanam is such a thing. This jnanam, even though we might begin to know it, for the jnanam to take root, there is still a process. A process of maturity is there. Adhikaritvam. We talked about adhikaritvam some time ago. That maturity may or may not be there to the extent that is needed. All of us are maturing every day. By leading a life, by dotting the i's and crossing the t's, we want to mature. Life is called karma yoga. But here it is jnana yoga. And so he's now, look at the example he gives. Okay, look at the example. Let's start with the example this time. Okay, Tandulam yathā. Yathā tandulam. Tandula is rice, rice. And this rice, when it grows and it comes out of that particular crop, it has this husk. It is covered by husk. And that husk covered rice is called paddy. It's called paddy in English. Nil in Tamil. And like that you have your words in Telugu, Hindi, etc. Now, he's saying the problem is something like this husk you can't eat. No, you can eat. You are welcome to eat husk. That's all okay. But after that, you have to go to the doctor. That is the only problem. And so, therefore, what you should do? You have to separate the rice from the husk. Inside part is sukhadayakam. Outside part is dukkadayakam. And so you have to separate the two. That is the example Shankara is giving here. So yathā, this tandulam is rice. This tusha means that husk. Husk is called tusha. Tushādibihi, he says. Tushādibihi tandulam vivichyāt. You have to separate the tandulam from the tusha. Just like you have to somehow. It's not easy. It's just completely enclosed. And those days, I remember, I used to wonder why, when I used to go by car to our village, and suddenly you see the whole road is filled with this paddy. Filled with paddy, that's it. And I didn't know why. And I never asked also why. And we never asked. Sometimes we ask questions. Sometimes I was not the guy who used to ask questions, I think. And later on, what happened? All the karma just caught up. And then finally, I ended up asking questions. And fortunately, I mean, so never ask questions. Then I used to now I'm wondering, why did I not ask my father or mother? Why do they do this? And I never saw rice coming out of the husk also. I mean, I didn't pay that much attention. And I think it must have come out or something. And then they'll blow it all out, I think. They just blow it and then they'll get rice, pick up the rice. And buses are going. It's all on the road, they keep it. It's amazing. I assume that the rice will not get crushed, I think. That's the idea. Just because the bus is just going, it's only a very temporary pressure on that rice. Perfect. That's what is needed. And so, vivichyāt, this avaghatataha, look at that word, yuktya avaghatataha. Leave the word yukti out for now. Avaghata means threshing, beating. They will just beat this thing, and until that husk just opens up and releases the rice. That is called avaghata. Avahananam in Sanskrit. Avahananam means threshing of the rice, beating of the rice. Not the beating rice to make pova, not that kind of beating, but prior to that, the beating of the paddy.
One minute. The threshing is to remove the paddy from the paddy stem.
Threshing is to, okay. But this one, I am going to extend the definition of threshing to extend it all the way to remove the tandulam from the husk.
That's called milling, Guruji.
Milling.
Threshing
It's called
and
milling.
milling. Threshing and milling.
Threshing and milling. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it is called a rice mill.
Oh, rice mill. Okay. Very interesting. See how many things there is to study, And, so rice mill. Okay, milling. I'm going to change my language now.
Guruji, this avaghatata, this is basically, it is used in our UP. I have seen from my mother used to do. Avghata means puna, barambar. There is one musli type. In that paddy, dhan, you have to hit puna. Then rice will be separated from that husk. That word is used avaghat in Hindi also. In regular basis, we use in our, especially UP.
Good. So I'm glad you said that because repetition is implied. Avaghatataha. Repeatedly. Yuktya avaghatataha will come later and this repetition has to be brought in. So repeatedly milled, let's put it that way, milled or repeatedly beaten, repeatedly done. And it won't come out just by one strike, you will not remove the rice from the
Mudgara
paddy.
comes from the Bhajagovinda Mudgara comes from that beating, repeated beating on the rice. Moha Mudgara.
Correct. So milling. So I'm going to use the word milling from now onwards. Milling after the threshing. Threshing also you can include. Threshing and milling, why not? You can't eat the thing, the stem and all, you can't eat anything. So threshing and milling. Good. Repeatedly. So that's a good idea. It's a good example to use, which we will use next class also. Om Apadamapahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Kale Varshatu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasyashalini Deshoyam Kshobarahitah Brahmanas Santu Nirbhayaः Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om